Hello there. You look at France and you do begin to wonder, could that happen here? You can read 1,000 articles about the riots taking place in France right now and get 1,000 different explanations for it. Most of them tiptoeing around one potential cause of which we must not speak. Then go into the comment sections and you get thousands more theories. Then come the reports that the riots are spreading, with video footage from Brussels in Belgium and even from Lausanne in Switzerland. Now all I see in France is a significant minority that is not at all happy with their lot, and that a homicide, whether justified or not, sparked off riots that the criminally inclined used as cover to enrich themselves. I always find it strange that one of the first targets in these types of circumstances are the local Nike stores. Attacking those is nothing to do with the protest at hand, it is pure, opportunistic looting. But it adds significantly to the overall carnage. Well over 1,000 people have been arrested by the French authorities, and it'll be interesting to see how swiftly and harshly the sentences are meted out. And the Parisian left now fears the rise of Marine Le Pen. She could now realistically become the next French president. And that would give us a clearer indication as to what the French voters really think the cause of the root problem is. Now, as you go through social media, there seems to be a lot of talk about this being the end of France as we know it. But others are saying they live in the places affected, and they say it's not anywhere near as bad as it's painted by the press. But with it seeming to spread so quickly, you do have to wonder. And it is a bit strange that Elon Musk has just placed a limit on how many posts a Twitter user can see in a day. He said it was to address extreme levels of data scraping and system manipulation. Data scraping is where bots extract as much of the underlying metadata from Twitter as they can, not just what you can see on the screen. But what system manipulation is, I'm not so sure. But this also comes the day after Musk brought in a temporary emergency measure to ensure that only registered users could view tweets. And many people are joining the dots between the situation in Europe and this move by Musk. It's either being limited to stop Twitter being used as a communications tool by the rioters, or it's being strangled to stop us learning what's really going on. But there is also speculation about the possibility of the riots being transported across the English Channel, or that we've already been importing it via that means, and that it's only a matter of time. And the big social media rumour is that the French military is readying itself to go in within the next 48 hours and sort out the problem themselves, whether President Macron likes it or not. In fact, some are saying it could be an out-and-out coup. But whether that's a good thing is a very debatable point. And just recently Macron was seen to humiliate the highly respected General Pierre de Villiers, after the general criticised Macron's defence cuts. Some are seeing de Villiers as a potential Charles de Gaulle figure that France could get behind. But let's step back a moment and take a wider view. When the authorities are overbearing against what is in effect a minority, just one event is enough to start an out-of-control wildfire as we see in France today. But what this will signal to the global establishment is that they haven't yet got the level of control they need to control a whole population. They will now worry that when they try to impose their freedom-destroying 15-minute cities and no cars for the people mandates, they will not have the power to quell the inevitable dissent. They have not conditioned enough of the populace to ensure it is self-regulating. Their idea is to have in place an automatic system that quickly punishes wrongthink to the level that people self-censor to ensure their lives, however crushingly mundane and unrewarding, continue undisturbed. These French riots that appear to be spreading show that the elite has nowhere near the level of control required. And as a WEF stooge himself, is Macron just waiting it out in the hope that the situation calms itself down over time? But one wonders that if the riots continue and cannot be checked, will the UN Blue Berets be brought in as a peacekeeper in France? And if so, from which countries will these troops be sourced? Would they be neutral? Or would they tend to take a side? According to reports, the French authorities have already poured about 45,000 or so police into the riots, and that now includes deploying its elite GIGN commandos. Could we really see ever more troops mobilised against the French people? Would that really lead to calm, or just more resentment and resistance? That's why a unilateral move by the military, as I outlined a couple of minutes ago, might not get the desired outcome. The demographics in France, just like the rest of Europe and in the UK, has changed quite a lot in recent years. And the military moving into certain areas may be looked on as an attack on its residents. As an example, look at Northern Ireland. In August 1969, the UK government sent the troops in on a limited operation, Operation Banner, to restore law and order after sectarian violence flared. This ended up as the longest continuous deployment of armed forces personnel in British military history, during which over 250,000 military personnel served. Between August 1969 and July 2007, 1,441 military personnel died as a result of operations in Northern Ireland, all according to a House of Commons library document. And further, 722 of those personnel were killed in paramilitary attacks. During the same period, the British military were responsible for the deaths of 301 individuals, over half of whom were civilians. In total, it is estimated that 3,520 individuals lost their lives during the Troubles. Now expand that into the currently troubled areas of France, Belgium and Switzerland. But there are also obvious risks from doing nothing. You could end up with years of low-level riots that dangerously flare up with erratic timing, stoking yet more division. Thinking about it, maybe we're at that stage already. Just look at what's been happening with riots recently and the underlying discontent, with governments doing their best to keep ordinary people under control and not reacting to the activities of minorities. Governments trying to keep the lid on the pressure cooker, while their policies, either inadvertently or by design, stoke the fire beneath it. And in France, this might lead to an awkward, unforeseen outcome for the global establishment: a Le Pen presidency.